Hi, today we talk about community building with challenges. Challenges are a very effective way to build your community. A famous one is the National Novel Writing Month in November. Many of you will have heard of a vlogmas, and many of you even did a vlogmas. That is when you do a vlog every day in December. And of course, what many of us brought to this fabulous community is the LIDA challenge, live every day in April or in August. These are incredibly powerful events. They bring people together, they empower people to try new things, and they can even be life-changing for the participants. My guest today is Sarah from Small Changes. She has a YouTube channel about minimalism, decluttering, cleaning, and frugal living. She made her own challenge about decluttering in January, where she went live every day to give the participants a mission for the day. And in February, she followed that right up with a different challenge on a bit lower frequency. So, that's enough from me. Hello, Sarah. Thank you so much for being my guest once again. You're the record holder now.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I threw myself in the deep end with challenges, but I absolutely fell in love with the whole concept. So I'm excited to share a little bit about what my experience was.
So first things first, how did you even come up with the idea to make a challenge?
So in my niche, it's really quite common to have people, to do sort of decluttering and organizing challenges like that. But they were all very much like, here's the prompt for the day and off you go. And I was like, that's great, but it's not as supportive as it could be. And so I was thinking, how can I give people support so they feel less alone whilst also like keeping it really simple so it is something that people think that they can achieve in 15 minutes or less a day.
Okay, and what was your main goal with this doing this challenge?
So, I mean, in my situation, it's, decluttering and organizing. And I think that people often think that they are the only one that struggle with this, that everyone else has their life together. I see them on Instagram, their house doesn't look like a mess, but mine does. And so, how can I help people, one, feel less alone, and two, feel supported? And so I'd already had a Facebook group, which was really great for that. But I thought, you know what? I think that if we can get people sharing their spaces and seeing that they're not alone and that there is, if you get rid of one thing, that's awesome. If you get rid of 50 things, that's awesome. And so whatever that looks like for you is amazing. And as we support people, shared experience is like social glue. And so if they can find friends, I know for me during the leader challenges that I didn't know any other creators. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could find other people who were needing to declutter or other people who were going to support you on your decluttering journey?
Fan- Fascinating. And so the main motivation for you was to just help people.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I work with people one on one who are, suffering from compulsive hoarding or severe OCD, which is stopping them from, letting things go and things can be unsafe. And one of the things that I hear most often is that one, everyone thinks that they're the worst person that I've ever worked with, and two, that they feel like they're the only person that has this problem. And so by showing people that, not everyone's space is perfect, my spaces aren't even perfect, and that with a community behind you, really almost anything is possible.
Fantastic. And we have people here that joined it. Lala says the decluttering challenge was super awesome. Also, she only finished a third of the challenges, but she's able to maintain the ones she decluttered, and they are still clean and organized. So, mission accomplished there.
Love it. And I mean, the reality is, when I was coming up with the challenge, I was like, it's really hard to commit to 31 days of anything, let alone at the beginning of the year where
And there, Sarah froze. That never happened to me before. So, but you guys are still here, I
it
hope.
picked up and
Oh, there she was again for a short while. Okay. Now it looks like I'm alone for the moment. So, um, but she is coming back. Sarah, you're back.
I don't know how much of that you heard, but
Yeah.
basically, for me, a big part of the challenge was wanting to just be that you could pick it up any day, that you could do it. And if you missed a day, doesn't matter, or catch up if you want to, but just meeting people where they're at. So I love Lala. 1/3 is amazing. You know, it's so many spaces in your home that you now feel in better control of.
Absolutely, and I think that's a rule with those challenges that people, not everyone will do it until the end. That's the same with Lida, the first one. I didn't reach all the missions, and yeah, but that's really great. And Dawn wants to know, what training do you have that helps you help your clients?
So a lot of what I do at the moment is really client specific stuff. So I'll get my clients either in person or via Zoom to walk me through their spaces, and then we come up with a plan together. So it's very personalized to what they need. And then, you know, my YouTube videos are more like the general, hey, this is how, you know, you can declutter like a pro. Here are some of my favorite tips for, you know, this and that, if you're tackling these sorts of jobs or those sorts of jobs, or come along and clean with me and get some motivation, that sort of thing. But one of the big things for me is, I remember back when I first started my Facebook group, is someone explained it to me that your Facebook page is kind of like your front yard, and your Facebook group or your community is kind of like your backyard. So it's where the party's at, it's where the fun is, and it's where you can really dive deep. And so being able to have a community where I can answer their questions, and then that also helps me to make content, because then I know what people are struggling with. I mean, I do know from my Zoom calls and my in-person consults what some of those common things are, but it's really great to see. And then if we're talking about something in
Oh, there she froze again. That will be a difficult thing if that continues, because I'm not really an expert. Um, but I see you moving again.
yeah, I'm back. Yeah, okay.
Okay. And now she's gone. Okay. I don't know if that continues. We maybe have to reschedule the whole thing. We try again. Okay.
The live streaming gods are against us.
Yeah, it seems like um, it can't be talked about. It has to
No,
stay secret.
it's happened 3 times now, Marcus, so we must be finished. All of our bad
Okay,
juju is gone.
we'll we'll try. Okay, so we talked about why you did it, and now about how. After having the idea, how did you prepare this whole thing?
So for me, one of the biggest things was about getting the order right of the challenge. So starting out with things that people felt really achievable, and also that were going to be what most people have. So not everybody has a garage, but most people have a bathroom cabinet. Not everybody has kids' toys, but most people have cleaning supplies somewhere. So all of those things sort of help me to plan out the challenge days in really sort of strategical ways. And it also helped to build up people's confidence with sharing. It's way easier to share your bathroom cabinet than it is to share your sentimental items. So those sorts of things came later in the month. And a big thing with everything I do is I want to empower people to do it on their own. So throughout the challenge, I started out really specific about what the challenge days were going to be. And then towards the end, hopefully without people noticing, is when I started letting them choose the different areas in their home that were going to be most important for them, so that after that month, they would feel really confident to go in and oh,
You're
it's
still
back.
here.
Yay! Yes.
Okay.
So after that month, that they would feel really confident to go and do it by themselves.
Perfect. And especially for a challenge where people share really personal things, I think it's really important to make it a real safe place. How did you organize that?
So I have a Facebook group and a Discord server. So on my Discord server, I have myself and my husband as moderators, and then I also have some really good friends that live in other parts of the world that are awake when I'm asleep, that can make sure that there's just nothing that's, might offend someone, and that we're just keeping it within the challenge. This is not, there's plenty of talk of politics and all of those contentious subjects, but this was a space just for decluttering, and it was a really safe space. And every day I kept reminding people how their encouraging comments, that their likes and hearts and replies, even if they weren't doing the challenge every day or they weren't posting their challenge every day, that part of it was as important, if not more important, than actually posting their own pictures. And that's a sort of a two-way thing, in that one, it keeps the chatter and the replies really positive, and the other thing is that once you are connected with people, you're way more likely to feel like you can post about things, because these are your friends, and the grace that you've extended to others, they want to extend back to you. And so it becomes this really, people who weren't posting on the first few days were the people who were posting their sentimental items, because they'd started to develop friendships through their encouragement of others. So it's a win all around. It's a win for people who are posting to get some really good feedback, perhaps if they don't have people in their life that support them. And then also for those other people who are just being the encouragers, that then they build a friendship up and feel more confident to share their spaces.
Yeah, and it worked out really great. So you went live every day in the Facebook group to
Oh,
give the
yes.
people the daily thing to do, and also catch up what happened. How important do you think was that versus just posting what to do somewhere?
Honestly, Marcus, I cannot even tell you how important I think it is. That if I had any advice for someone doing a challenge, that the going live, even if people watched on a replay, because you become a part of their routine, you become something that they look forward to. Like, it's tomorrow I'm going to get a new mission, or I'm going to, Sarah might see my stuff and we can chat about it, and they can hear from me as a real person talking to them. And so that part of it, I think, was the game changer. It creates an environment where there is immediate feedback, which in my videos, no matter, I've got videos that have got, 500,000 views, and that's great. And I hope that those videos have helped someone. but that immediate feedback, that's where the magic happens. And being able to answer questions and address, hey, I noticed some of you were saying sorry, this space is really messy. Please don't apologize. This is what this is all about. Your space is personal and we appreciate you sharing it with us, but it is an absolute game changer to be live, to be giving that instant feedback all the time.
And that's what sets it apart from similar challenges. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And many people actually do make the time to watch it live and to comment, and so you have an immediate
Yeah.
interaction. Yeah.
And it becomes like this sort of fun party atmosphere, as you're welcoming people, as you're, calling people out that have done posts and things like that. And it becomes a fun place to be. It's like meeting up with your friends, whether, it's me reacting with them or it's them seeing each other, knowing that it's live. There was lots of conversations that happened in that live stream, and that, like lots of inside jokes, for us. I call the mess that you leave behind after you've decluttered for a few days is snot, all that junk that you just haven't dealt with. And then, so on one of the days I was like, we're going to deal with the snot. And there's like this productivity expert that talks about like eating the frog, like doing the thing you don't want to do first. And so we came up with this term, snotty frogs. And it was so fun. And it was this organic stuff that just wouldn't have happened if we hadn't have been live, if there hadn't have been that immediate feedback. And people then resonate with that. It's something that's a part of your community. Just like in our wonderful live streaming community, we have all sorts of jokes, our shout outs when we see each other in other live streams. All of those things are because you have a community that wants to be there, that's supporting each other. And so all those fun little things that come up are one of my favorite parts for sure.
Perfect. And so you already had the Facebook group for a longer time. How much did you see a change in engagement with the challenge?
Oh, it was phenomenal. Like what I thought would happen was I thought that we would get quite a bit of interaction on the live streams, but that the posts might take a little while to build up. But once the challenge started, I was just blown away with how amazing people were willing to share and go deep, right? Like not just, hey, here's my before and after, or here's what I got rid of. It's, I struggle with this. I'm really, these things were my mother's and they remind me of her, and those sorts of things. And that depth of, someone sharing their home and their heart with you was something that, I guess it took me by surprise. Even though I was hoping that would happen, it still took me by surprise when it did.
Yeah, and now I forgot my question, so we take Laura's question first. So you did it in two platforms. You did it in Facebook Live and in Discord. And
Yes.
how time consuming is it, and why did you do it in two platforms?
So, well, lots of people don't have Facebook in my niche. Like I have a lot of people in the older community who have left Facebook for all sorts of different reasons. And so I had, just before this challenge, I decided to start Discord anyway, particularly because I have YouTube memberships, and Discord links with YouTube memberships like within the system itself. It's not something that I have to create, and I love that part of it. So as far as work goes between the two, I would say it's not that much extra because, you're replying to comments on both platforms just as though you would be replying if they were all in one. It's just a quick screen change. The only thing that probably I would do differently next year is I think I would make YouTube, like have a stream of its own and sort of have it a bit more available over there just because of who my audience is. But as far as the managing the two different communities, I really just think of it as replying to the posts, and I jump in and I reply to as many on Facebook as I can, and then I jump into Discord. With Discord, and I know Lala is new to the Discord world, and probably some of you guys, even you, Marcus, are new to the Discord world. It's a little bit less reliant on you than Facebook is, because it's done in a chronological order. It's like a conversation. And so people don't necessarily expect you to reply to every single post, and it's more of a conversation. So if 5 people had posted, I can just jump onto Discord and go, oh my goodness, guys, you guys are doing amazing. That's so cool. All of those things. And it's because it's a conversation. It's like I'm talking to 5 people at once.
Yeah, and it's you have your own power about what you want to see versus Facebook, where Facebook says what you get to see.
Yes. That is probably my favorite thing about Discord, is that you decide,
Yeah.
you can choose to see it, and also that you can have different channels that talk about different things. So, people who wanted to post about the challenge, had a designated space to do that. But then we could also just talk funny talk and general chit chat and talk about our pets and all those things, which is part of what builds the community, right? If you start to know these people, not just by their decluttering pile, but by their pet or where they live or their cute
Absolutely.
kids, all of that really helps.
Yeah, and back to the community side. So you are the power to propel it forward by being the face of it and by going live every day. But
Yeah.
then also it happens that people in the community start to engage with each other and help each other, and I guess that's where the magic happens.
Oh, absolutely. And if you really have to just trust that it will. It's sort of like, stepping out and knowing that it will happen because of the space that you've built. And just like in some of the streaming communities where we see people testing things and all those things, that's a vulnerable space to be in, right? To be testing when you don't know if your sound's working or if your lighting's going to look right. So this is not specific to live streaming. This is not specific to organizing. This is not specific to any niche. You can replicate using these same techniques, whatever it is for you. There will be people in your niche that want that one-on-one immediate feedback, that want to meet other people who do this stuff too, and then they'll build friends within the community totally separate from you having to run it the whole time. So, if things get slow, you can post more, but for the greater majority, I think it will take off on its own because of the space that you've provided for people to meet together.
Yeah, I think that's the balance, and in the start you have to make more to engage people, and then if people do it themselves, that's then you made it.
Yeah.
Then it's yeah. And how hard was it to show up consistently? I mean, if you say I'm here every day, you kind of have to be there every day.
I absolutely loved being there every day. It was something I look forward to doing. I think pre-leader Sarah may not have been up for the challenge, but I definitely felt confident enough to go live every single day. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. So, and people with a live stream, I feel like there is an element of people not expecting you to show up perfect, that they're so glad that you're there and you're like a real person to them because it's live. And if you can like just harness that power and be like, you know what, because I actually got the name we shall not say during the challenge. And so literally there was one day I was so sick. But you know what? It showed that I'm a real person and that, things happen, and that they were willing to accept me as I am, just as I am totally willing to accept them as they are. Now, I'm not saying like if you got sick, you should absolutely take rest and you shouldn't feel pressured or anything like that to keep going. But knowing that even if you do want to push through, that they're not there like, oh my goodness, how dare she not show up perfectly. They're just so happy you showed up. So yeah, it was really good fun, and I loved every moment of it.
And I think if it's not everything is perfect, then it further builds that trust and the willingness to share the own
Yeah.
things. Yeah, absolutely.
And I
And
think that, sorry, I
mhm,
think one thing that I found throughout the challenge, and I'd heard Sean Cannell say this, is that people aren't looking for like the professional to show them how to do it. They're looking for a guide, like someone a couple of steps ahead of them that's willing to come alongside them. You know, we've all been taught by the teacher that stands up at the front of the room, but how much more helpful is it when someone comes alongside you and shows you what to do, and you don't feel like there's this great gap between where you currently are and where that person is. It's really just, oh, this is achievable, this is a couple of steps away.
yeah, exactly. So now, if someone watching this thinks that's a good idea and I know what I could do and I would like to do a daily challenge, how much work is it gonna be?
The back end work, depending on how you set it up and how many sort of facets there are, is there, but it's sort of the same amount every day. So once you've got all of the sort of back end things in place, you know, you've got the thumbnail or the email template, you've got, you know, you can sort of copy and paste your descriptions day to day, which will really help. And so as you start to do it every single day, it will actually get so much easier for you as well, because it's like the same thing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every single day. But, you know, having to mirror things over to YouTube and then copy that to Discord, it is like a little bit finicky, but it's not like hours every single day. And I actually think the payoff you get for it is really high, and it's worth the work. So if you were to do it, I would say, you know, if you can invest the time in setting those things up, in having the blurbs written so it's just a copy paste, you can make it really attainable. And you don't have to do your first challenge across 3 different platforms. You can legit just do it on YouTube if that's where your audience is. You can do it on Facebook if that's where your group is. Whatever that looks like, keep it simple for the first time, and then next time you can go on Discord and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and wherever.
Yeah, and maybe could get some help, as you mentioned, people helping monitoring it for is everything safe
Yeah.
and
And even
mhm.
like in Discord, if that is one of your platforms, like I think, you know, maybe if Facebook and Discord were what you chose to do, Discord actually have some options where you can have bots moderate, so that if someone uses certain language that you don't think is appropriate, you can just have them just mute that person and it'll just hold it for you and things like that, so that you're not worried that while you're sleeping there are things that you're not seeing, and having real life monitors there as well is really helpful. But, you know, even if your community was really small, that the power of this will be the same, and it might even be magnified because there's that group of people that will get to know each other really, really well. And in fact, I sort of saw this in that my Discord channel is quite a bit smaller than my Facebook group, and that people were way more willing to share that deep stuff in Discord than what they were in Facebook. And I think a little bit of that is just that, you know, it's a small audience there, and they started to really know these people, and so there was a greater level of trust. But I think, you know, if you were willing to go live on your phone every day, even just to a Facebook group, that you will be blown away by the community you can create.
Yeah, and You mentioned the payoff. So the one thing is community grows closer to you, but it's really a big opportunity to also get to know your community better. I think in YouTube comments you just have some lines there.
Yeah, and like for me, I hate small talk as a person. I'm an introvert. I like want to skip all of that and like tell me about you. And so for me, this was kind of like perfect for that because we sort of, you know, got all of that stuff out of the way, and then I was like, show me your house, let's do this. So that part was really cool. And me talking to a camera for a YouTube video is wonderful, and there I love sharing spaces and how I make things work in different methods to doing it. But there is something about seeing it both ways that makes you able to even make your videos better, because you are envisioning real people that you know when you're making these videos. They're not just some person out there, they're your friends. My sweet friend Zoe, who I met just through her finding my channel, she is like one of my dear friends now. And sometimes when I'm making a video, I think to myself, I'm making this for Zoe because I know she'll want to see that. And I feel like that makes your content better because you're making it for a real person. And of course, your content's great, even if you're making it for everybody. But when you have that little thing in the back of your mind, I think that there's a personal connection there that helps to get you through those days where you don't feel like filming.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So really everybody should do a challenge and no reason to
Yeah.
not doing it. Yeah, and now tell me, what were the biggest surprises you had during the challenges?
Definitely, I guess because I did sort of think it would really just be about decluttering. And I know that, trauma and grief are very closely linked to clutter. And I thought that some of those themes might come up. And I had built in days in the challenge to sort of give space for them. But the amount of people that were willing to share and the depth that people were willing to share before we even got to those days really surprised me. And it was those sorts of comments that pushed everyone closer together. I think also something I wasn't expecting was just how much sharing your space shares your life. So whatever, challenges other niches might have, if there's an opportunity for people to share something a little bit outside, like something personal to them, whether it's pets or a space or their favorite movie, those sorts of things, those make those bonding moments. And then when you get to the hard days where you're going to push them to do something that they might not want to do, because you know who that person is and they know who you are, that's going to create the safety net then for them to be able to jump right in. And although I didn't necessarily set up my challenge to do that, it happened organically. And so I think that whatever challenge you have, if you're going to include some of that personal stuff into it, it will happen the same way for you.
And I think a really important part of that is to pave the way and be vulnerable yourself first, if you want people to get vulnerable.
Yes. And again, aside from saying just do it, it's amazing, my one takeaway from it would be, again, instead of taking that teacher student type role of I'll tell you what to do today, you go and do it, if you come alongside people, that there's a huge power in that. So, for example, for someone like Lala, who is, arts and craft and amazing creativity, that if you're doing that at the same time, which is exactly what Lala does, that makes it even more powerful. So me showing my spaces, me showing stuff that I need to declutter and coming alongside them as like, hey, here's my mess. It happens to the best of us. Or, hey, here's something that I made that didn't work out. Let's try and fix it or make it into something else. Whatever that looks like for your niche, that coming alongside someone as opposed to this is what we're going to do and then you go and do it. I think there's a really, there's a power and a community in that we're all doing this at the same time.
Perfect. And Caleb says challenges really promote engagement and brings your audience back wanting more. Did
And
you
I think,
already see?
oh yeah.
Okay, tell me.
So sorry. I see we're so in sync, Marcus. I just knew what you were going to say. So absolutely. But one of the things for me was that, maybe, if you, unless you're like Marcus and you stream to live streamers, some of your audience may not even have engaged in live streaming before. And so that part is going to be really new to them. And so they haven't sort of seen this magic that happens. So even if your niche isn't sort of known for live streaming, this challenge is such a good way to introduce them to the concept. And then my views on my live streams now are getting way more views and way more engagement because they're used to this format now and they look forward to it and they know what it's going to be. And then when I'm promoting my memberships, which have a members only stream, that's something that they know what that's going to look like. And so this was something, again, that it wasn't one of my goals, but I'm so glad that it happened.
Great. And so after the month of January was over, you didn't just say, okay, now it's done and full stop, but you found a way to continue in a bit easier pace for you and for the community.
Yeah, and so if you're running a group of any kind, I think that you probably know that there is an element of sort of needing to maybe give that prompt, I guess, a bit like an improv, that people may not want to be the first one to post. So by sort of having these monthly challenges, I realized that I would have a year full of prompts of like, hey, we're going to go frugal in February and we're all just going to look at ways that we can save money by, organizing our house or doing a no spend month or whatever that looks like. But then that also allows me to say, like, hey, share your meal plan. Hey, have you got any frugal Valentine's Day tips? Do you know what you can do for frugal self-care? All of those sorts of things. And it becomes a way of you sort of saying, this is what we're going to focus on. And then people can post around those topics to keep that chatter and that engagement going way after your challenge.
Great. And Lala says FF Frugal February.
That's it.
That's the actual challenge. And then we will have to wait to see what you come up with in March.
Oh, I'm excited for March. Yeah, we've got good things
Okay.
coming.
And so I put a link in the description to your website. So if anybody thinks, okay, now let's watch what is there on YouTube, or let's find the Facebook, let's find the Discord, that's all easy findable there. What did you learn that you say I would do it differently next time?
So this time I had thought in my head, oh, I won't have everything go straight up on YouTube because I really felt like the community that would be needed to sort of for them to post back to me. Like we've talked about that, on YouTube, it really is just a couple of line comment. There's no way to share pictures or video or to get that sort of engagement like a feed does. So I was like, oh, I won't put it on YouTube. I'll just keep it to Facebook and Discord so that they keep that community there. And I think I didn't need to worry about that. So next year I will definitely use Restream and go live on YouTube and Facebook, and obviously mirror that over to Discord so that when I'm live, that people, because a big part of my audience is already on YouTube, that hopefully I'll catch them, and that will then push them to either of those spaces to share their photos and their videos. And next year I would also like to sort of, in my live streams each day, particularly as we go on YouTube first and also on Facebook, but to be able to put up pictures or posts that have come in on the other platforms to sort of link the communities together. So it doesn't matter where you're watching from, you can still see what's happened across the platforms. So that would be something I would do next time. And maybe even have some pre-recorded videos to go along with the challenge days. Again, they're not something I regret not doing. It's more just, oh, this was so fun. How can I do more next time? So I'm really excited about adding to that. But I think you could do exactly what I did, way simpler, and it would still work, or you could add so many more facets, and that would be amazing too. So wherever you're at with your community, I would encourage you start there, and then you'll get all the ideas to build on from that.
Yeah, it's really great, and thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge, and also thank you for doing the challenge. I think I did less than Lala, but she did a third. But it's the same. The things I did, they stayed organized, and
And
yeah,
it's kind of like it's the jumping off point, is that you're probably, even though you may not have done 31 challenges, you're probably more aware of some of those things in your home. And so that would be the same whatever niche you're in. We're all more confident live streaming from doing leader, whether we did the 30 days or we did a few. We're all still further in our journey than we were before we started.
absolutely. And everybody who participated in LIDA already knows how much connection there happens there, and we also could see that very well in your challenge. So great that you did that, and thank you for taking the time to explain that here. And Caleb and Lala had a whole conversation about Discord. I thought, okay, I leave that in the comments for now, but that's also a really fascinating topic.
But yeah, and if anyone out there is thinking about doing a challenge, I'm keen to jump in, but also just keen to support others if they need some help, or maybe the final push to do it.
That's such a great offer. So check Sarah out in the description. And thank you everybody so much for watching. Thank you so much, Sarah, for taking the time. And we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.